The date is February 11th, 2021. On this day, we find ourselves at the Dublin Plain City Road / Road 161 railroad crossing in the small community of Kileville, Ohio. I was driving around the city of Columbus earlier when I saw that this CSX Grain train was being diverted onto the Scottslawn secondary. Knowing I hardly ever catch trains on this line, I decided to give chase, and the chase led me here. After a little bit of time passed, the grain train was then given permission to enter into the siding that was just north of our location. After getting across the railroad crossing, the train had to stop because the switch to the siding had to be thrown manually, and we got to watch as the crew set the points. After the points were set, the train then continued into the siding. CSX 3443 is a GE ET44AH, and CSX 324 is an AC44CW, built in 1998. The Scottslawn Secondary Subdivision is a branch line that runs from Ridgeway, Ohio, south to downtown Columbus, where it connects to Norfolk Southern's Dayton District. CSX trains that use the Scottslawn use trackage rights on Norfolk Southern for a short way to get to their Columbus subdivision. Once on the Columbus sub, they then make their short journey south to Parsons Yard. This line has a very interesting history. In 1869, this line was chartered under the name the Atlantic and Lake Erie Railway, with the goal of running from Toledo to Pomeroy, Ohio on the Ohio River. The goal for the railroad was to transport coal from the coal mining regions in southeastern Ohio. Unfortunately, construction of the line did not get that far before the railroad went into some receiverships. By 1878, the railroad was reorganized and renamed as the Ohio Central Railroad, and 4 years later, in 1882, the line finally reached Pomeroy, Ohio. In 1885, the company decided to rename the railroad as the Toledo and Ohio Central Railroad, and enjoyed moderate success as a coal hauling railroad. By 1910, the famed New York Central Railroad gained a controlling interest of the Toledo and Ohio Central Railroad, and the line was operated as part of the NYC system. Then, in 1922, the entire TNOC system was leased to the New York Central, and by 1952, it was then merged into the Central. Before we see the next train, let's move to the other camera and get another angle of this grain train. Getting back to this line's history, it stayed in New York Central hands until February 1st, 1968, when both the New York Central and the Pennsylvania Railroad merged together to form the Penn Central. This did not last, however, as by April 1st, 1976, Penn Central, after going bankrupt, was merged with Conrail. Once in Conrail's hands, it stayed with them, providing them many years of good operations until July 23, 1998, when Norfolk Southern and CSX Transportations split Conrail in a joint acquisition of the railroad. As part of the split, CSX acquired the Scottslawn Secondary, and it's been with them ever since. As the grain train continued to get into the siding, we got a glimpse of the shorter grain train as it was making its way also into the siding. At the head of that train was CSX 4814, a classic EMD SD70 Mac, built in 2004. Once the long grain train was out of the way, the smaller grain train then pulled up to the switch so that the conductor of that train could set the switch back to the main line. After getting the switch, 4814 then got back underway to get to Parsons Yard. And just like with the first train, I used my second camera to get another shot of the train as it went across the crossing. After the 2 CSX Grain trains got by, I then called it a day and went home. The next day, on the 12th, I saw on heritageunits.com that BNSF 687, one of BNSF's original Santa Fe Warbonnets, was on an intermodal train bound for Norfolk Southern's Rickenbacker Yard. So, I drove out here to Valley Crossing to wait for it. After a bit of time getting set up with both cameras, I then saw the headlights of a BNSF locomotive and got set up to watch the train roll by. BNSF 5988 is a GE ES44AC built in 2006. BNSF 687 is a GE C44-9W. It was built in 1994 for BNSF's predecessor railroad, the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway, receiving its number 687 from them. It worked for the AT&SF for a short time before both the Santa Fe and the Burlington Northern merged together to form today's BNSF Railway. As of the making of this video, 687 still wears its Warbonnet paint scheme, along with a good handful of other ex-Santa Fe Railway locomotives. Now, to finish this video off, let's go to the other camera and get another shot of this train on the other side of the tracks. And with the Warbonnets passing, we have reached the end of yet another one of my rail fanning adventures. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a good day. See you later.